Welcome back. You're watching Breakfast at Dawn. I'm Ayeshah Alam Khan and we are talking to Madeeha Gauhar. All right, Madeeha, let's just start right off with the burqa vaganza. That was huge. It created a huge controversy. Tell us about that and why the controversy?
Yeah, I don't know why the controversy, because it was a fun play basically, but obviously like most of, all of Ajoka's productions, there is definitely a very serious issue that we're looking at, and that is basically the Talibanization of our society, not just the Taliban per se, but also the mindset which is now being changed, and which I perceive as being something which is more dangerous actually. Maybe the army can get rid of the Taliban, maybe we can eventually hopefully just finish them off, but the Talibanization which has crept into our society for years now, ever since Zia's times, when these so-called Islamic laws were brought in, and the educational system, it reflected in our textbooks, it reflected in our media, in our television, and in our educational system, and I think that has to it's a long haul to do something about it.
It's interesting that you I love how you always touch a raw nerve in your plays. I think it's wonderful work that you're doing, but it's interesting that you're talking about this, because just yesterday, the production team, we were all sitting together, Nida and Shay, the researcher, and Mariam, we were all sitting together, and we're talking about how simple things, but how it slowly just works at society subconsciously. Simple things like, before we used to say Khuda Hafiz.
Yes, exactly.
And now the big thing came, that's not really Islamic, you should say Allah Hafiz.
Yeah, it's terrible, because it actually, the word is Khuda Hafiz, and I think it just reflects the narrower perceptions and the mindset, the intolerant mindset that we're getting into, because we just want to believe in a certain interpretation of Islam, not really believe, but we're being forced into it, and a certain way of looking at Islam, whereas this is a multi-faith society. It's even within Islam, multicultural, even within Islam.
What's interesting is, on the same topic really, is it's almost like they're trying to make us like the Arabs, whereas we are not, by heritage, we are not an Arabic culture.
Obviously.
We've got Persian, we've got, we're more on this side. And
we
Islam
are one
came
of
to this culture, we took it in.
The richest traditions, cultural traditions and historical traditions where we are located today, where Pakistan is, and obviously our roots are in the subcontinent, in South Asia, and we have been in total denial of these roots ever since the inception of Pakistan. It's not just with Zia, or not just with the Taliban now. It's for 60 years that we have just negated that whole concept of our sort of roots which are there, and also our other influences. The Persian influence is much more than the Arab influence.
Yes.
The Arab influence is only there as much as the religion is concerned.
Yes.
But the overall cultural ambience which we have grown up in and which we follow is something which is rooted in this subcontinent, and with influences from other places, which of course the larger influence also comes from Iran. So that has to be understood, and that is in fact got a lot to do with my work and Ajoka's sort of struggle to discover this very elusive thing called identity.
Yes.
Because I think Pakistanis are suffering from that, and that is one of the root causes of all the problems that we are facing today, because we are not really clear about who we are and where we've come from, and therefore we don't know where we are going. And I think any cultural activist has to first sort this problem out for himself or herself, and I think my personal quest has been this discovery of who really I am, what it means to be a Pakistani. Is there anything, does it really mean something? Is my identity informed by my religion or by my being living in the Punjab? And I'm sort of an excellent example, because I'm not really, my mother was from Indian Gujarat, she was Gujarati speaking, my father was from the frontier, my husband is Kashmiri, he was born in Kashmir. So my children, it's a composite sort of a culture which they're growing up in, and with different languages, different cultural traditions, historical traditions, and I feel that is something so beautiful, and something which was, the most I think the wonderful aspect of our...
It's a treasure for Pakistan,
yes,
really.
I mean,
where
we are,
the diversity,
the composite culture, the attitude, the tolerant attitude towards religion, which I'm afraid is all being destroyed now because, you know, of the nature of our history, of how we have allowed, it's not just the Taliban who've just, you know,
no, it isn't.
For the last 10, 20 years, this whole Talibanization, it's basically...
it's society and the government and everyone, the media, they're all coming into play and playing a part as well.
Yes.
It's our responsibility too. On that note, we're going to take a very short break for the bulletin news, but we'll be back in conversation with Madeeha Gauhar. If you have any questions for her, tweet them in. I'm on Twitter, and of course you can email breakfast@dawnnews.tv. You're watching Breakfast at Dawn. Please stay with us.